Welcome to the EmpowerHer Wellness Podcast. I'm Morgan, and I'm thrilled to be your host and wellness coach as we navigate the path to a healthier, more confident you. As the owner of Get Fit With Me, I bring years of experience in personal training, nutrition, and coaching to each episode. Join me as we explore practical tips and strategies for fitness, nutrition, mindset, and more, all tailored for busy women just like you. Let's empower your wellness journey and achieve lasting transformation together. Welcome back to an episode of the EmpowerHer Wellness Podcast. I'm your host and coach, Morgan Ekovich, and I wanted to wish everyone a happy early Valentine's Day today. I hope you guys have some wonderful plans, whether it's you on your own taking care of you, or you're going out to do something fun, or you're just celebrating with people at home. Whatever today looks like for you, I want you to remember that you are loved. And in honor of Valentine's Day, we're going to be talking about the importance of dating yourself and what that looks like, when you should be doing it, how you should be doing it, and what it does for you. So, as we talk about dating ourselves, this can look a multitude of ways. One of my favorite ways to date myself, quote unquote, is to honestly take myself out for dinner dates. And this is something that is very uncomfortable for a lot of people, to go sit at a restaurant, either at a table or at a bar on their own without looking at their phone, without a book, without their laptop, and just be there with them in their company. I get it. It's very uncomfortable. And it was really uncomfortable for me the first time that I did it. Honestly, the first couple times. So I'm going to share how I kind of built up to doing that and how I've been doing that on a regular basis. But before we dive into all that, I've got 3 questions for you. And I want you to just stop and think and answer these questions honestly. They are about you, they are about yourself, but there's so much that happens when we start learning to love ourselves and starting to date ourselves. And these are 3 questions that I think are really great to just get you thinking. When was the last time you took yourself out to breakfast, lunch, or dinner and sat at a table or the bar and just enjoyed a meal in your own company? Have you ever done it? Maybe you just did it last week. Maybe it's been a really long time since you've done it. If you have not done this is question number 2. Why is that? What's holding you back from doing that? Does it feel awkward? Does it feel uncomfortable? Weird? Does it make you really anxious? Does it make you really nervous? Are you afraid people are going to judge you? That they're going to have all these pre-existing thoughts of, oh, she's alone. She's a lonely person. Oh, so be so sad for her. Why is it? Why haven't you? Then the third question is, restaurants aside, when was the last time you just sat and enjoyed your own company? Doesn't matter where it was, but when was the last time you really enjoyed your own company and who you are? So I want you to think on those because those are really good questions. And it takes a lot of time and effort to get to a point where we feel comfortable going and sitting at a restaurant on our own without all of those things. There's very few people out there, even the extroverts of extroverts, it's uncomfortable because there are things of like, oh, I don't know this environment, or like who am I going to sit next to, or am I going to like all these things. I get it. So as you kind of keep thinking about these questions, I'm going to share a little story. So it's probably been 3 years now. Mike got in a golf league on Tuesday nights, and when he's in the golf league, I'm typically on my own, which is great. I try to schedule something to do with friends, but it doesn't always happen. So on those days, I do try to do something for me, whether it's I sign up for a class on my own, maybe I'm going to do some of the shopping that I wanted to do. Maybe what that looks like is I'm going to do takeout from a place that I really enjoy that we don't always eat at together, like things like that. So what this started out being is instead of cooking at home, which I love doing, and cooking is something that brings me a lot of joy, but I'm going to get takeout from a place that I like, a place that we don't typically get. So I would get takeout and I came home. And then the next time or a couple times later, I thought, instead of doing takeout, what if I go and I sit there? So I go sit on my own. I took my laptop one time, I took my phone, put in my AirPods, watched a show, did my thing, stayed in my bubble, but I was out in public. Then I thought, okay, what if I go and I don't take the laptop? What if I go and I get out of my normal workout clothes and I dress a little bit nicer because it makes me feel good? Not because I'm trying to impress anybody, but when we dress good, we feel good. Maybe I'm going to do my hair. For instance, today I did my hair and it makes me feel good. It makes me feel better about myself. It's not because I'm trying to impress, but it's because it makes me feel good. So, slowly progressed into being able to go and sit at a restaurant or sit at a bar somewhere that I am comfortable to order dinner and sit there. And I'm not scrolling on my phone trying to make the time go by. I'm not making sure I bring a book or a laptop, but I just kind of sit there. And if there's TVs on, I watch that, or I'll talk to the person next to me, or I just kind of sit there in silence. And that's okay. But it took me a long time to get there. It probably took me about a year of me repeatedly doing this for me to get to a point where it felt comfortable. And don't get me wrong, there's still times when I do it that it's a little awkward and uncomfortable. Depending on who is there or how busy the restaurant is, I still get these nervous, anxious feelings of like, oh, people are going to think I'm lonely. They're going to think, oh, all of these things. They're not doing that. Just like when you go to the gym, people aren't staring at you. Everybody just kind of looks around, but they're not focusing on you. They're just kind of looking around to see who's looking at them. It's really what's happening. And that's what happens at restaurants. So, as we kind of move through, I'm going to talk about some of the benefits to dating yourself. And some of these benefits are ones that you may think, oh, yeah, I knew that. And others may be, I didn't realize that that was going to happen. So, some of the key benefits to dating yourself. The first one is self discovery. You're going to gain a deeper understanding of your likes, your dislikes, your values, your goals, which are going to help you make better decisions in your life and also in your relationships. So, whether you're in a relationship, maybe you've been married 50 years, or maybe you're newly married, or maybe you're transitioning because you just had a few babies and you're learning how to be in a relationship again because life has changed, or you're dating, or maybe you are single. Doesn't matter. Being able to figure out your own likes and dislikes, your values, your goals, all independently is super important so that in that partnership, you have a really clear understanding of who you are. And you can do this even if you're in a relationship. I do this now. I'm in a relationship. You don't have to do this when you're single. It's actually really good if you just do it in all aspects, all throughout life, and continue, because the more self-discovery we have, we tend to change as humans. And our likes and dislikes change over time. And we don't always like know that they've changed until there's like, oh, I really don't like that anymore. Whereas if we slow down and we start to spend time with ourselves, we start to notice these things. Another thing you're going to see is improved self-esteem. By actively treating yourself with kindness and respect, you are going to build confidence in your own abilities and worth. So if you are somebody who just does not feel like they are not enough, that you're trying to do all of the things and you just don't have the confidence, you're like, I'm doing all the things, I don't feel my best. It's probably because we're not treating yourself very kindly. You're talking down to yourself. You're trying to run yourself ragged because you're trying to wear that badge of honor of busy. You don't get a badge for being busy. You don't get a badge for doing the most things. But if you are kind and you start to respect yourself and you start to show up and you really start to enjoy who you are as a human, you are going to build your own confidence and you're going to get better at things that you weren't very good at just because you're going to be more confident in them. I see tons of videos on social media where they're news anchors who like confidently say something because they are so confident in their role. They say something incorrectly, but they say it with such confidence that like the people who know they said it incorrectly question of like, were we saying it incorrectly? Because of how confident they are. And that comes when we improve our self-esteem. We're going to have personal growth. So personal growth can come from real life experiences. It can come from reading, taking courses, talking to people. It can come in a multitude of ways. But in personal growth, one thing across the board is that we are reflecting on our own thoughts and feelings. And that is going to lead us to notice, wow, I no longer put up with that, but I'm now here. And this is how I need to interact. Or, wow, I no longer get bothered when somebody else is doing something that is out of my control. We have personal growth experiences, one through life, and two, when we're intentional and we start to actually slow down and notice these. And when you spend time on your own, whether it's out and about, at home, just being with you undistracted, you start to notice these things. You start to notice your growth. Tracking also really helps with that. Those daily wins. I know people who got a jar this year and who are writing a daily win or a weekly win. At the end of the year, you're going to have a list. You have a big jar of all these, and you're going to see how much growth you had. I'm like, at the beginning of the year, maybe your win was drinking enough water. And by the end of the year, maybe your win is you were able to go out to dinner on your own. Look at that growth of what we considered a win throughout the year. Another thing we're going to have is reduced codependency. So prioritizing our own happiness. You are less likely to rely on your partner or somebody else to fulfill your needs. It essentially doesn't mean I'm not going to ask for help, that I'm going to do everything on my own, that I'm an independent person. Help is not something I ask for. No, that's not what that means. But it means that I'm going to feel confident enough to go and do something on my own. I'm going to feel confident enough to try something. For instance, check the oil in your car. Maybe that's something that you know is a skill, but you've always kind of depended on somebody else to do that. Learning a new skill that is something that would be beneficial that you learned, and you're not depending on someone else or depending on somebody else to be happy. When they're in a bad mood, you're in a bad mood. No, you can be in a good mood when they're in a bad mood. When you start to learn these things, you can start to determine where your energy is going to go, how you feel emotionally, physically, mentally, all of these things. You start to understand that and know that just because they feel a certain way, and I say they meaning whether it's a partner or a friend or a roommate or whoever you spend your time with, doesn't mean you have to be that way. If they're in a negative mindset, does not mean that you have to be in a negative mindset. Just because they're tired and cranky does not mean you have to be tired and cranky. But a lot of times those tend to fall hand in hand because we're with those people so much and we forget who we are on our own and we fall into them. So it's important to know who we are and remember that we can be independent, but continue to ask for help and be a partnership. So we just talked about 4 key benefits to dating yourself. And it's that self-discovery, the improved self-esteem, the personal growth, and the reduced codependency. Those things right there are really important. And you may notice when you start dating yourself that you start to see changes in all these areas. Maybe you only start to feel confident and you start to hold your head a little bit higher. You just start to feel a little bit better. And you don't really know what areas or benefits you're getting from it yet, but you just know you're starting to feel better. And that's what matters. Is like I said, these are just their benefits, but we may not always see them in the exact way that I describe them. So, what is dating yourself? Can look a multitude of ways. It can look like what I said. You can go to dinner on your own, you can sit down. Maybe dating yourself is going and watching a show on your own out in public because that is your comfort level. Maybe it is going and taking yourself on a coffee date because that is where you are. But it can also mean just engaging in solo activities you enjoy, like going to a museum, trying a new restaurant, getting takeout at a new place that you're not typically one to like go and try new places. Just go try somewhere new. Read a book, take a walk in nature, or pursue a hobby. Those are ways to engage in solo activities that you enjoy. You can also date yourself by practicing self-care, getting enough sleep. You have to take care of you. I've been talking about sleep so much with all of my clients recently. I don't know if it's the weather or the time of the year, but we are all lacking in sleep, and myself included. I'm focusing on getting more sleep than I typically do because I noticed that my energy levels towards the end of the day were starting to decline quicker. And like I said, it could be the weather, it could be a little bit of everything else in the mental load, but it also relates back to sleep and my body's recovery process. Practicing self-care can look like eating healthy foods, exercising on a regular basis, doing things that relax you, scheduling a massage, getting a facial, things like that. So maybe you're not ready to go do solo activities, but maybe you're at the practice self-care, and that is your focus this year, is really practicing that self-care. Start there. Start there. We all have to start somewhere. It can look like journaling, writing down your thoughts and feelings. It's going to help you gain insights into your emotions. This can also, I recommend people who are not writers, I'm not a writer, you can do voice memos. A lot of I think everybody's phone at this point has a voice memo section. Go in there, click the button, and just word vomit. You don't have to re-listen to it, But what it's going to do is it's going to get all those thoughts in your head out of there, and it's going to put a date on it, and you can name it if you want. You can use your phone to write these notes. You could vlog. If you are somebody who is the creative type and you want to put something out on YouTube, do a vlog. Do something like that. I think Apple has a journaling app. I don't really know how to use it, but maybe there's something in there with some prompts that you want to get into journaling, but you're not entirely sure where to start. I'm not the best person for the journaling. I used to be the kid who wanted all the journals just because I wanted a new notebook, but I never journaled. I still have a lot of them that I just use the paper for scrap paper around the house because I would rather do a voice memo to myself in the app and just leave it there to get it out of my head because that allows me to feel better and allows it to be more crystal clear, and I don't even have to re-listen to it. It just gets it out of my head. And then the other thing that you can start to do is just reflect on your experiences. So anytime you do something, just take some time to reflect on it. Because what that's doing is it's causing you to slow down and look internally at yourself of, wow, that was a really great experience. Or wow, that was really terrible. What could I have done better? Okay, I did everything I could, but that just was not great. What should we remember for next time? Reflect back on it, because what that's going to do is it's going to allow you to understand those likes and those dislikes. And you're just going to start to get an understanding of where you want to spend your time, where you don't want to spend your time, where you want that energy to go. And that falls into the dating yourself, is a lot of self-discovery. And the more self-discovery we have, the better and more confident we feel, and the happier we end up being, because we truly are allowed to be the people who we want to be and not the people that we've just kind of fallen into because of people we live with or the place we work or the places we go or all of those things. We actually get to be who we want to be because we were choosing our actions and we were choosing what we want to do. So I would love for you guys to kind of take some time after this episode to really sit down and to think about dating yourself. And do you love yourself? If you don't love yourself, do a voice memo to yourself, journal it out, write why you don't. And then come up with some ways of how you can start putting you first, how you can start making you feel like a priority so that you do start to love yourself. And maybe you are going to start with that self-care. And maybe it's going to start with you knowing that the reason I don't love myself is because I do not feel confident in my body. And I know I need to get better sleep, drink water, eat better foods, and I need to move more. Great. It is a fantastic place to start. Like I said, it does not need to start by taking yourself out to dinner because there's a lot of those feelings that I mentioned those in the beginning that comes up. But the one thing across the board that is not going to change is you need to feel a little bit uncomfortable for change to occur. If you feel comfortable all of the time, you are not changing, you are not growing. You need to feel a little bit uncomfortable because it means you are growing. You are searching for new things. You are trying on new opportunities. You are moving into an area of unknown. And as we move into that area of unknown, our box of comfortability gets bigger and bigger and bigger, which means that box needs to continue to grow. So I would love to know, and you can do this in a multitude of ways. Either go to the show notes and send me an email of what you're going to do to start dating you again, to start loving you more. If you are somebody who already loves the heck out of yourself, I love it. What are you going to do to keep loving yourself? If you're somebody who's like, I just really don't love myself, what are you going to do to start loving yourself? Is it an activity? Is it journaling? Is it working on something for your health because you know that's going to make you feel better? Send me a message, whether that's email or you can jump into the Facebook group and post it in the group. Totally up to you. If you are somebody who is more on that shy side, I recommend the email. That completely confidential. It's just you and me. There's no team members reading that. So if you are like ready to call your shot and say, Morgan, I'm ready to move forward and to start taking control of my health because I want to start prioritizing me in my life, call your shot in the Facebook group. The last thing that I want to mention is if you have anybody in your life who you know just does not love themselves like you love them, and you want to see them confident and happy and excelling in all areas of their life, and you know this episode would help them and get those wheels turning for them, and show them that you love them as much as they should love themselves, send them this episode, push that share button, send them a message and say, I was thinking about you today and I thought there were some really great ideas in here. Are there any ones that you'd like to do with me? Because sometimes we also need that a little accountability partner of, I really want you to love yourself, but it's hard to do it on our own. So start with someone else, start with a friend, start with a group. And then over time, you're going to start to learn how to do it on your own. So with that, I hope you guys all have a wonderful Valentine's Day tomorrow. And if you have any questions at all at any point, please send me a message. I'm here to support you and help you love you and help you feel more confident. So until next time, I will see you then. Thank you for listening to the EmpowerHer Wellness Podcast. I hope you feel more empowered and ready to tackle your wellness goals. If you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover, feel free to send me a message. Make sure to subscribe and leave a review to help us reach more women just like you. Until next time, take control of your wellness and keep empowering yourself every day.